So this morning's job, we're dragging out this old oil boiler and we're putting a new 2532 Worcester in. It's already fully pumped, so we've got zone valves, heating, hot water, there's TRVs and everything. So we'll put a filter on it, we'll make sure everything's nice and flushed. We'll put a new fire valve, new filter on the oil. This condenser we're going to upgrade. I might be able to sneak it into that sink waste over there. If not, it goes into a gully on the outside, so we'll core through. Pretty much it really. This boiler's in a bit of a mess. It's leaking, it's losing pressure. Oh yeah, she's full, isn't she? See where she's been leaking? Might have to get the wet back in, Jacob. Is there a drain off on these at the bottom? There isn't, is there? They've plugged it. We can certainly knock the pressure off, like you say, through that fill loop, Jacob, because somebody's put it on the right side for us. So we'll get a hose on that, and then unfortunately it won't drain the bottom of the boiler unless they put a drain off tap. Oh, there is one on the bottom left down there, so we'll get a hose on that, Jacob, and get it drained. But that has been sat in water for a while. That is the sound of success. A drain off tap that actually works. This boiler's been swimming a while. The main heat X is split. Its system's been constantly losing pressure. But yeah, that one is well and truly at it. We'll get the electrics disconnected. They've already been isolated. And yeah, it should be fairly straightforward. New pipework will come off this side. Snap the photo cell off as well. I'm surprised that was even running. Well, it probably won't. That's bad, that. There's a burner swimming. I'm going to get the wet back in, get this all hoovered out. We've dropped the pressure. Red rusty in it. I'll just disconnect this oil. We've got the oil isolated on the tank, and then we can get this old boiler dragged out. I've made it draw in a bit on it, that. Just disconnect that on there, mate. Stop in a second, I would have thought. It looks fairly clean, but we're still going to flush it out. Do you reckon the flue will be sealed? No. Makes our life easy to get out though. They've attempted, in fairness, but it's pretty loose. I've labelled this up, so that's our flow going through our pump. That one goes to the hot water cylinder, it's got another valve on. Heating upstairs, heating downstairs, and this is our return. That's hot water return coming back through, last one back into the boiler. Upstairs, radiator return, downstairs radiator return. So we need to get a filter on that return pipe work, which is separated from the expansion because the expansion comes on the flow, so we've got no valve between the expansion and the boiler. So yeah, it should be fairly straightforward, this one. Just pull the fire valve out of it. We're going to put a new fire valve in. That'll have a drop of diesel in that minute. All the fire valve does is shut the oil off, the oil feed off, if that probe gets too hot. So that should have sat really above the burner somewhere. So if the boiler caught fire, automatically cuts the supply fuel off. I think it's been leaking that long, it's gone mouldy down here. There's like mushrooms starting to grow. Probably not the best. Luckily it's not actually in the house. But yeah, boiler's ready to come out. Just got to try and, I don't know, we'll have to cut that there, Jacob, I think, and then rejig these returns back in somehow. Unless we cut the case. What do you reckon?
Rejig.
Rejig? He's gone for the rejig. I want it. We'll just have to stick that one back down. We bust it. Well, if we have, there's not a lot we can do about it. I don't think it's probably cut at the angle anyway, was it? Patch up around the stone anyway, can't we?
We've got iron more.
We've got lime now, I've got sand and cement. Yeah, it'll be alright. Yeah, this should drag forward, get me 2 hands. We don't want no Mickey Mouse jobs on this firm. Look Look at that, look. He's gone mouldy, he has. Lovely. We're going to get all this old area down. So Jacob's going to start jigging this pipework back in. We haven't actually got the boiler on site yet. It's supposed to be here at 8 o'clock, but it should be here in a few minutes. We're going to unsweat that from there. We're going to point that T up, and we're going to have the filter mounted this way, because on the Worcester they sort of come over the top and down. So unsweat that, 28T there in effect, with an elbow like that, because the edge of the boiler will be pretty close to there. The flow will probably have to swing in front, across and then down. I'm going to go outside and start getting the 5 valve and stuff sorted on the oil line, and hopefully the boiler will be here then. The fire valve, they've drilled a 1.25 inch hole, so you can actually get the 5 valve out without removing the oil line, which is good. Makes our life easier, because otherwise you end up pulling the oil line out to get the 5 valve probe back through. I think we can just squeeze it in there, and then we'll have a look at the condense. If it's high enough, we're going to try and boss it into that sink waste inside. The condense comes out on the right hand side of the Worcester, so we'll have to go behind. We can lag it in here anyway. So I'll just tell you this story. I was watching Jones the Gas on TikTok, and he fits a lot of glowworms and valiants. And he said to him, can you make the tails longer so they can get a press fit elbow on? And they said you can't use press fit within the metre of the boiler unless the manufacturer of the press fit fitting states otherwise. So I didn't actually know that, so you do learn a lot of stuff. I haven't done any boilers in press fit. We're going to solder this one anyway, but yeah, it just goes to show you need to check your manufacturer's instructions. To me it doesn't make a lot of sense, because if you imagine there's O-rings inside the boiler anyway. I know you can't use plastic within a metre of the boiler, but there's O-rings inside the boiler. Your filters are plastic, well, some filters are brass, aren't they, but a lot of filters are plastic anyway. So if the boiler's getting that hot where it's melting an O-ring, you know, you're in a bit of bother anyway. But yeah, always check manufacturer's instructions whether you can use press fit within 1 metre of the boiler. I know Glowworm and Valiant say it's okay as long as the press fit manufacturer says it's okay, which is a bit of a grey area, that really. So just watch Jacob try and sweat this off. There's probably a drop of water in the pipe. As soon as it starts, well, Jacob knows, but I'll just tell you guys, as soon as it starts to like spit with solder, when it should start to release itself.
Got no teeth left.
Got no teeth left on my grips. I've had them ones years, mate. So what we've got here, I'm going to come in, we're going to put an isolation point, we're going to put the filter, then we're going to put the 5 valve. That is blow off from the heating system. It looks a little bit wet there. Change that. It's been running, hasn't it? We'll check that. We need to check that expansion vessel anyway, but that blow off has been running. That's probably another cause of the pressure drop. That's current condense, which we're either going to upgrade that or we're going to boss into the sink waste. So I'll get this disconnected now. Inserts on the oil line. I don't know if that will fit that. I'll see if I've got a different elbow in the van. This is the only annoying thing with oil lines. You get like the small nuts and the big nuts on the 10mm. I'll see if I've got a big one, because then I can just keep that nut and olive and change the elbow. It's either that, no I will. I'll see if I've got one. The reason we're using insert is just to stop the pipe crushing when you tighten the nut and olive up. 10mm is only soft. You don't just nip them up. You don't go immensely tight. Probably a little spanner would be better, but and then straight into a shut-off valve. I might need to shorten it back a touch because I'm going to run out of space, because I've got to try and get a filter and the 5 valve in there yet. This is a 5 valve. All this does is shut the oil off if that probe gets hot. This is a 2 metre 95 degree one. I did ask for a 3 metre. 2 meters should reach through the wall anyway, so just probe that off like that. That probe through there like that. Probably sticking my mate on the leg. Did that get you, Jacob? That's all right, mate. I thought it would get you. There's an arrow on these as well, so it wants to go like that. And then all that pin does is pop out if it overheats. So the next thing we've got is an oil filter. It's a secondary one. There's already one on the tank, but this just helps protect the boiler. We will check the one on the tank to make sure it is clean. But I think if you read the instructions, it will say that you need a secondary filter on the install, and then hopefully we can get the fire valve. It's going to be a bit tight. That'll maybe move across a bit for us. So on these boilers, you can use either one of them as your flow. They do send you a blank. That's our return connection. So we'll probably bring them both out this side, above the top of the boiler, and then in. It's going to be the easiest. Condensers there on this one. So we'll have to take that behind the boiler. We'll probably jig that up first. So we've just slid the boiler in position. That's our return connection. It's going to swing straight across. Any air will bleed out the top of the filter anyway. The flow, we might just need to put an air tap on because it's creating another high point. There's bleed points here on the boiler for the heat exchanger. Flue's going to go straight out the back. We'll patch that all up with sand and cement. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Sat back in okay. There's a little gap down this side where I haven't quite met the towels. We'll get the pump on that, Jacob. Make sure that's okay. We might change that PRV. He said that expansion vessel wasn't very old. I was going to allow for one on my price, but he didn't want it changing. So you can only price what they asked for. I'm hoping we don't need the extending flue. I think we should be okay. Is that? Can you just hold that tape where it goes into the thing, Jacob? About 750 we need to be. Yeah, I'll get that sorted, mate. The one thing I like about these flues as well, the telescopic and the centre of drill bit, the drilling, you pop with not pop with it's your cell tap is in. So I've just measured through the wall into where it sits. It's actually really on the limit of where it needs to be, but I think we're just going to be okay. We can't go much more than that because we're going to be past the point. But as long as it's fine, it's okay. You're certainly not going to have any white showing on this one, I can tell you. It's on the limit, but yeah, good flues, telescopic, nice and quick to install. On there, look, it's beautiful. Taught him everything he knows, look. I can't teach that, that's just pure talent, that is, Jacob. Like that Corona plumber, have you seen him? He's amazing, he is.
Beer or the bar?
I don't know, I think it's something like that. I don't really watch a lot of TikTok, but some of the stuff he does is unbelievable. Imagine there's a lot of good plumbers out there. So I've made a mistake when I've priced this job because I've not allowed for an extension. Flue's on the limit, I can't go any more, and we're about 6 inches short. I could pull it back through a little bit, but it's not right. So what I'm going to do is go get an extension. We just have to put a short piece in there. We can't have a flue joint in the wall, but the flue joint will be here, and then I'll just shorten that telescopic one back. There it needs to be about there, but then it's just too short and I'm not leaving it. So I'll go get an extension. Jacob's happy piping this up anyway. Do you reckon I'm going to pick some lagging up? I should have a new PRV. I might bring a new PRV back with me as well if that's been running. So yeah, it was going okay until that point, but there's always something in there. That wall is thicker than I thought when I looked at it. Right, I've been and fetched an extension piece. What I'm going to do is cut this, I don't know, 6 inches, and then that piece will go into the boiler, and then the flue will go into there, and then we'll just screw that through. It's perfectly acceptable to do it that way. We just got a little bit unlucky on this one, as I say, because we were literally that much short. We might just have to shorten the telescopic one down a little bit now, but yeah, at least that'll be right and fully inserted and everything with pucker. That clamp goes on there first. We need to tighten that up yet, and normally your telescopic would go straight in there, but not on our case because we're just that a little bit short. And then we'll fix that through onto the telescopic, and that's got over that problem. beautiful. That's the first piece set up. So we want to be into about there somewhere. I can't do it one-handed, but that will go. Right, so that flue's in. Now the correct distance as well, not in the wall. So we just need to patch up around here. We have got a terminal guard going on there as well. And that's happy days. I'm just going to use sand and cement to patch it up. So while I've been messing around with the flue, Jacob's just got the pipework done to the boiler, just bolted the magma cleanse on. He's checked the expansion vessel, he's pumped that back up to 1 bar. So we've just got the oil line to tie in and the electrics, and then we can start to get flushed out then. So on these Worcesters, there's a little clip right there for your 5-valve to sit in. So that's as it should be to manufacturer's instructions. It can sit above the burner, but because they give you a clip, it's better to go on the clip. I'm just seeing a drip on this pipework. It's maybe just on the magna cleanse. Yeah, it'll be alright. I'll just work this burner out. Just get that out of the way a minute. That's what your burner looks like. Your nozzle, your electrodes, your blast tube. It tells you on here your settings will be 28.5 kilowatt. So pump pressure wants to be 10.3 by 150 psi. Cut myself there, look. Ow, I didn't even know I'd done it. Condense trap. Your baffles are inside there, which we need to check to make sure they haven't been dislodged. These are like a one-piece baffle on these anyway. Secondary heat exchanger. That the cover just comes off that. You can clean that out when you're servicing it. Not much else really to say on these. That's obviously where the burner bolts in, blast tube firing through. There's waterways on each side on these, and then the baffles just deflect the heat. What else have we got that I can show you? That's pretty much it. These are pretty standard. Obviously you can get the like systems ones with the pump and the expansion vessel in and the PR pressure relief valve, but this is just a standard regular heat. I'm just using this mortar mix to patch up around the flue inside and out. It's just this stuff you add water to. It makes my life a bit easier. Get some water in there and we'll get this made good. That's got the outside all sealed. We've still got the collar to go on there, so you won't see any of that anyway, and the terminal guard. But it's just if the black collar, that piece to ever degrade, is still sealed, so no fumes can go back into the building. Why there's 4 fuses on there. Should be a 5 amp really, an oil boiler. We'll put that 5 amp in. It works anyway. What have we got? We've got some 3 amps, some 5 amps. The oil will need bleeding, mate.
Yeah.
I turned the magna clean off, mate, so you'll have to turn that back on.
Where's that green tub?
That'll go for lockout, mate. This time it'll go. I can show you how to bleed the oil though, you probably know.
Yeah, I just don't have any Allen keys in the building.
So Jacob's going to bleed this through, but he's going to put some gloves on before touching any oil, as you should do. So taking the 2 screws out the burner box. It's the same Allen key that fits the bleed point anyway on them. I do have a proper Worcester one somewhere, but God knows where it's gone.
X3.
That can pull off, mate. And then your bleed point is... I can get my pump pressure gauge out if you want to put that on. It makes it easier to bleed. It's up to you. Just give it a little crack. You see all them bubbles. I don't know if you can see that. Let me get a bit closer. There shouldn't be a lot in it, mate, to be honest with you. There's only the line from out there. Be really careful if you press the reset, because you've got like 10.5 bar pressure coming at you at the minute. That's just on gravity. Flow of oil through the bleed point now, just on gravity. So that you should hear it click in a second. Any second now, he says. There you go, click and it's lit. I've had to change the pump on this system as well. I think half the trouble is we've got a big airlock on the primaries. That's the primary flow, that's the primary return. There is a bypass on the other end as well, but we just airlocked all the way across. and it just wasn't shifting it, so the boiler just kept going to overheat. But we're getting a nice temperature now. We just got the upstairs on, so Jacob's just going around checking the rads, but the boiler's purring away nicely again. So I'm just going to get the analyzer in it. So our CO2s need to be 12.0 on this. We know the pump pressure's set. If anything, we just need to give it a little tweak of air, and to do that, it's just down here. So a little turn, and that'll just bring our CO2s up a little bit. So air will increase and CO2 should come down. You see as the air's going up, them CO2s are just coming down a touch, which is what we want. We need them on 12. Another little tweak. First thing you always do is get your pump pressure right there, because if that's wrong, everything else is going to be out. I'll just let that come down a second. So we're not going to be bad at that. That reading's been stable for a couple of minutes now, so I'm fairly happy. So we can get that printed off and we can get the benchmark and everything filled out. We've still got flue to make good, flue hole to make good inside, all the pipes to lag, and finish flushing the system. We took the magma cleanse off because we were just struggling with air a little bit, but we are going to get that bolted back on now. Well, I'll have to change this pump now. This pump's stuck on this mode here. That's purge mode, but then you should be able to cycle through. It just keeps jumping back. That's air purge, and then it don't go across onto the others. So you should be able to cycle between the fixed speed and modulating. But it don't. I might change that. Heap of junk, mate. Heap of junk. Not leaving that in there. It's just going to come back and cause me a callback. So I think I've got a Stewart and Turner one in the van as well. So I'll put one of them in. I don't know why I fitted that. I've had trouble with them before, but I should have just put a Stewart and Turner on. These are probably my preferred pumps now. Them DAB ones are the cheaper ones. They're about, I don't know, 49 quid, but you get what you pay for, don't you? So these are, I don't know, these are probably getting on for 100 quid, but yeah, at the end of the day, if you're just going to keep getting callbacks and stuff like that, what's the point of fitting stuff? Right, so that's got this job all complete. We've put a Stewart and Turner pump in there. We've had the magma cleanse on for about 3 hours. We've lagged all the pipes, patched up the flue, everything's getting nice and hot, everything's balanced. So yeah, that's another one done. This job's, it's gone okay. It's just a couple of little things that always go wrong. That pump was annoying, but it is what it is at the end of the day, isn't it? But yeah, customer's happy, so yeah, we'll get out of it. And before anybody says it, yes, we have put a terminal guard on. Any flue below 2 meters, whether it's gas or oil, needs a terminal guard. Stops anything being put up against it. I know it's fairly obvious, but yeah, it is a regulation.